Can money exist under a digital form? There can be several answers to this question. Of course, everybody knows what happens when a credit card is used and when a money transfer is done on the internet. In the end, that's digital money moving around. But since 2009 there is another kind of digital money that is more interesting, and which in information technology and ideas level will probably take on a huge role, and those are cryptographic currencies. The Bitcoin being an excellent example of those. The Bitcoin is a currency created from scratch by using a peer-to-peer network on the 3rd of January 2009 to be precise, based on ideas of a certain Satoshi Nakamoto. We don't know who Satoshi Nakamoto is. He described the protocol and he somehow managed to write the programs to make it function and get it running in 2009. We don't know who he is, and that protocol has generated the currency now called the Bitcoin, whose market capitalization now amounts to 10 billion euros, which is rather substantial. So the Bitcoin is a real currency that only exists in a digital form. There are no Bitcoin bills or Bitcoin coins. It's something that only circulates over networks, in which functioning is based on a shared file, also called a shared register, and that is the blockchain. How does the Bitcoin work? That's a very interesting question. First, you have to understand how the blockchains works. The idea is rather simple. The idea is to say, if everyone is alright with knowing who possesses Bitcoins, those Bitcoins don't need to be real. It doesn't need to have a tangible form such as metallic or golden coins. Whatever, if everyone is okay to say this account possesses 10 Bitcoins and that account possesses 10 and so on, then it can work. At the beginning it sound a bit nerd, one can have a hard time believing it, but that's the idea behind the Bitcoin. So there's a file called the blockchain which indicates precisely how much there is on any account. Everybody is fine with it because the file telling how much that account possesses. That file is duplicated 5,000 times. In the case of the Bitcoin, there are 5,000 computers managing that file and they all agree, they all have the exact same file, indicating the amount present on any account. That creates some kind of trust between users. Because nobody can cheat, nobody can say I'll modify that account so then I will double the amount I have because I want to. Nobody can create new Bitcoins without it being intended by the general Bitcoin system and the trust generated by the share of information. That's the idea behind the blockchain, and that idea can be generalized and can be used to do many other things. Blockchains, and particularly that of the Bitcoin, are based on primitive cryptographic. Primitive of what is called mathematical cryptography. And they are the ones ensuring the sturdiness of the data handled by the blockchain and its reliability and its indestructibility. One remarkable feature is that the Bitcoin and the blockchain that have been developed since then are based on mathematics. Actually, they are mathematics mastery that has been achieved on cryptography protocols, particularly on digital signature systems and on file hashing systems, enables the protocol to function without anybody being able to cheat. Because that's actually the problem. Nobody can be allowed to manipulate the protocol in order to take money for himself or something else if we talk about the blockchain. So this computer science maturity in digital science is thanks to mathematics and mathematical cryptography. Because they are the Bitcoins and the blockchain's foundation. The protocol involves digital signatures and cryptographic signatures, and that's absolutely essential. The idea is as follows. When someone possesses Bitcoins, I'll talk about that Bitcoin case, but similar things can generally be found in blockchains. When someone possesses Bitcoins, that person will have two information about the account on which the Bitcoins are deposited. One information is the account number, that number will be called the public key, and the other information is the secret key. The secret key has the following property, and that's a small mathematical miracle invented by cryptologists. It's that when performing a transaction it will be sent on the network with a signature, so that private key will be used to sign the transaction. And only that person can sign action because he is the only one to hold the secret key. Everybody that knows the account number will be able to verify he is indeed the person that signed. So those double key systems allow that rather miraculous thing, where everybody can verify that a signature is genuine, and of course that's an essential point of the Bitcoin protocol. Because money needs to be able to move from one account to another. So there needs to be some kind of action, what we call transactions, and those transactions will be signed every time by the account owners and nobody will be able to cheat. Nobody will be able to sign a transaction saying from account A, which is mine, I'm going to transfer money to account B. Only I, the A account owner, will be able to sign transactions from account A towards another account. The blockchain can have many other applications, and that's a surprising thing in the Bitcoin's history, is that at the beginning it was believed that it could only be used to create cryptographic currencies. By the way, there have been 700 currencies created based on the Bitcoin's model because the idea seems so interesting, even brilliant. But for 3 or 4 years people have started to realize many other things could be done. The idea is very simple. It's that what is used to store Bitcoin transactions is actually a file as hard as iron, which is impossible to falsify, and it can't be modified. In the case of the Bitcoin, it is duplicated 5,000 times, which means it is indestructible. Totally indestructible. Half of the earth could blow up, there would still be copies of the Bitcoin's blockchain, and that idea of an indestructible shared file which nobody can write without some kind of control being exerted by a set of other operators. Meaning the other blockchain's holders, that allows to do many things. I'll give you 2 examples. It's been considered, it hasn't been done yet. To create a land register based on blockchains, which means property information on cut-out plots etc. would be written in a blockchain. Only some authorities would be allowed to write information on that blockchain. When concluding sale, information would be written not by erasing the previous information but by completing the previous one, telling that this plot has been sold and the owner has changed, and once that information has been duplicated and rendered, it becomes indestructible by the use of cryptographic primitive. That information could access by anybody, by anyone plugging on the internet will knows who possesses what, and in a much more reliable manner than if it was managed by a centralized file. Of course, the idea is that a central unit would manage all the information that is multiplied, that creates a sort of mutual trust. Including countries where there is corruption and all sorts of things where there is no land register. Or if there is, it is not reliable. Another example of blockchain usage would be for schools and university certificates. Today, when you want to find out if someone has a certificate, it's almost impossible, or else you need to contact and check with the university or the school who delivered that certificate. Imagine a blockchain on which universities and schools would write down the certificates they deliver, so that when trying to know whether that person has indeed been granted this certificate, you only have to read the blockchain. So again, the fact that the file is duplicated and that only certain operators are allowed to write on it, in this case schools and universities. Of course, all that creates a sort of trust, a certainty and warranty of the information delivered by the system. So the blockchain technology would be a very interesting way of solving the who holds what certificate problem. There are people offering new applications for the blockchain every day of that shared and guaranteed information. That's the idea behind the blockchain, a shared, indestructible and guaranteed information, and we realize that a lot of things can be done and that it can be useful for many different things. Some sort of true digital revolution is happening right now, and that's why banks, but not only banks, governmental organisms, everybody's interested in the blockchain and wants to know how it works. And what new blockchain could be imagined to create new things that are considered impossible to do for now.